So we'll make a start. Thank you all very much for attending. Welcome. This one would be fine. Okay, I've got this one now. Thank you very much. As always, can I ask you to remember that you are representing the residents of Weymouth and to treat each other with respect, kindness and tolerance. Before we start our meeting, I would like to ask that we remember our late colleague, Councillor Tony Ferrari. I served with Tony on Weymouth and Portland Borough Council and on Dorset County Council, and more recently on Dorset Council and here on Weymouth Town Council. We had our differences politically, as we all do, but Tony was a valued and important member of all four authorities, whose opinion I respected and often agreed with. In power, he was fair and measured, and in opposition, he rightly held us to account. Personally, he was very supportive to me when I was ill at the beginning of the year. His advice was helpful. My condolences go to his wife Erica and to his children. I'm going to call upon Councillor Peter Dickinson to speak, and then I will ask you all to rise. Keep a minute's silence, please. Thank you. Councillor Dickinson.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. It is with great sadness that I stand here today to pay tribute to our colleague, Councillor Tony Ferrari. His sudden death earlier this month came as a great shock to us all. Tony represented the ward of Littlemore and Preston on Dorset Council and was also a Weymouth Town Councillor for Preston and Sutton Points Town Ward. Tony spent many years as Managing Director of a FTSE 100 company and turned to teaching chemistry in his retirement. Tony and his wife Erica moved to Dorset from Harrow 8 years ago, where he had served as a borough councillor. He was quickly elected to both Dorset County Council and Weymouth and Portland Borough Council, and following local government reorganisation in May 2019, he was elected to the newly formed Dorset Council, where he served on the Cabinet as a portfolio holder for economic growth, assets and property until earlier this year. He was a member of the Council's Appeals Committee and also represented the authority on the Ferndown and Hoods Business Improvement District. He had previously served on Dorset Local Enterprise Partnership likewise. He was elected to Weymouth Town Council, where he was an active member of various committees. Until September this year, he served as interim chair of Littlemore Community Action Group and had campaigned on many ward issues, including fighting for a better bus service and opposing several development proposals which residents were unhappy about. Outside politics, Tony was dedicated to his community and worked hard on a variety of projects and was supporter of many local groups with particular interest in the local food bank. During COVID, he was always there helping those who needed him. Tony had a passion for running and was an experienced long-distance runner. It was whilst he was out running that tragedy struck, and a loving family and a community at large have lost a very special person. Tony was a much respected colleague, friend and ward councillor to so many of us here in Weymouth, who was always there when he needed help and advice. However, above all, he was a devoted husband, a loving father to his 3 children, grandfather and son. He will be greatly missed by so many, and we send all our love and support to his family. The funeral service is planned for Friday the 15th of December at 1 p.m. at Weymouth Crematorium. Everyone is welcome to attend. The family have suggested that if anyone would like to make a donation in Tony's memory, that they make it to Weymouth Food Bank. Thank you very much, colleague.
Very much, Councillor Dickinson. If you're able, would you please stand now so that we can make our respects to the late Councillor Tony Ferrari. Thank you. Thank you all very much. On to the body of the meeting now, thank you. Welcomed, apologies, I can see one or two gaps, but we have apologies from councillors Lambert and councillors Nicholson. Councillor Firm is going to be late. Do we have any other apologies, please? We have none notified. Thank you.
Oh, Councillor, but Peter Barrow asked me to give his apologies. There was a car accident that didn't involve breaking off his car.
Oh dear, is
He
he
was
okay?
fine, he was in the house at the time.
Dear, oh dear. Thank you very much, councillor Harris. In that case, can I have a proposer to accept those apologies? Councillor James, seconded councillor Wakelin. Show of hands, please. That was unanimous, Chair. Thank you very much. Minutes of the last meeting. Have you all received your minutes and have you all read your minutes? Are you all happy with the accuracy of those minutes? If so, councillor Northern.
Thank you very much. I just have a suggested clarification on the section of the minutes dealing with the draft neighbourhood plan. This, a member of the public queried some of the statistics that were written down here, and I explained to them that those statistics related to Dorset Council. So if you look in there, you can see in the paragraph, it says 5,193 people are on the housing register. That's a Dorset-wide figure. And similarly, further on, it says that planning permission exists for 5,578 homes. That again is a Dorset figure. Given that the title of the section is draft neighbourhood plan, I think it needs to be stated that these figures apply across Dorset. That's the suggested information in there.
Thank you very much. With those clarifications on the minutes, could I have a proposer to accept them, please? Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Northern. Show of hands, please. Unanimous, Chair, thank you. Thank you very much. Councillor questions and statements. Have we been informed of any questions? We've had none informed, Chair. Councillor Hamilton.
No, sorry.
Right, believe I sent an email in indicating I'd like to ask two questions tonight. First question is the hardest question for me to ask. It's about violence against women and girls. As you know, there's currently 16 days of activism that started Saturday, 25th of November, which was White Ribbon Day. The aim is to encourage us all to take positive action so that women and girls can live their lives free from the fear of violence. The stats are truly gobsmacking. Nearly 1 in 4 girls in mixed sex schools have had experience of unwanted sexual touching in school. 6 in 10 women have felt harassed in the gym by a man. 30% of women have experienced workplace harassment, with 81% reporting they've been harassed by a man or men. 1.7 million women experienced domestic abuse in the year ending March 2022. I'd like to ask if all of us at Weymouth Town Council can work together to support the White Ribbon campaign. Hashtag change the story. Change the story to stop the violence before it starts. This campaign is supported by the National Association of Local Councils. All of us can make simple changes. Believe, listen, signpost and support. Can we in Weymouth Town Council, all of us, get a plan in place to look at how we can change the story. Can we get a plan in place ahead of International Women's Day, which is March next year? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm looking at the town clerk here. We can take that forward. Can we, as we discussed?
I'd be more than willing to prepare a report for a future full council meeting, Madam Mayor.
Are you happy with that, councillor? Councillor Taylor?
Could I just make a request, please? Would it be possible to send details of the support services that are available to all councillors? Because occasionally we will all come across this from time to time. There's a lot of really good stuff on the Dorset Council website, but if we have a link included in the weekly update to that, I think that would be really useful for people. Thank you.
Thank you. That seems like a very good idea. Thank you very much, councillor Taylor. Okay, you had a second question, councillor Hamilton.
Thank you. Second one is about disposable vapes. A resident has contacted me with concerns about the health risk and the litter risk posed by disposable vapes. While vapes play a part in helping adult smokers to quit, big companies are promoting colours and flavours to appeal to children. As any of us who's ever had to queue in a newsagent, the long-term health impacts, the long-term health impacts are unknown. What is known is that these are single-use vapes, they are a litter hazard, a risk to our bin lorries, and expensive to dispose of safely. The Local Government Association has long campaigned for a ban. I want to ask, will Weymouth Town Council be responding to HM Government's consultation on, quote, creating a smoke-free generation and tackling youth vaping, unquote? This consultation closes 6th December. I think we still have time to make a response. Thank you.
Thank you very much, councillor Harris.
Can I suggest that we have a vote to see if this town council will agree with that? I certainly do. And therefore, it gives our officers a chance to actually complete that consultation document on our behalf.
Unfortunately, Madam Mayor, as it's not an item on the agenda, we're unable to have a formal vote on it. However, if the council wish to give me an indicative go ahead, I can prepare something and submit something on time on behalf of the council in my name as town clerk and yours as the mayor of Weymouth.
Thank you. So this won't be a formal vote. I'll come to you in just a second, councillor Jones. It won't be a formal vote, but I'm going to, in a moment, ask you to indicate a minded to. And if a majority of us are minded to, we can ask the town clerk to then proceed. Councillor James?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I fully support this because these vapes as well, they're one of the biggest unenvironmentally friendly objects we can have, especially what they're made of and how to dispose of them. But is there any chance of including in this energy drinks? Because last year I did a bit of a survey on energy drinks, on the fact that they're sold to underage, and some shops are aware that they shouldn't be selling them, but they do. And there is a council further up north, I can't remember which one it is, but they put out their own proposals, just urging shops to look before they sell them and be careful who they sell them to, because I think those two things seem to go hand in hand.
Councillor James, although they do seem to be linked, they're not linked in the current initiative. And I think it would cloud the initiative if we try to at this point. Sorry. But it's certainly something that we could look at in the future. But what we're trying to do is to get that 6th of December deadline at the moment. So
Okay, yeah.
if that's okay with you, Councillor Wakeham.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam. I don't wish to start a big discussion on a non-agenda item. The consultation is for two things. It is to prevent anyone who was born after the 1st of January 2009 ever being able to legally buy cigarettes, and the single-use vaping. I personally support both, but I just want to be clear, are we voting for the council to write in supporting both items that are on this consultation, or just the vapes thing? or?
Why don't I split that so we get a clear view, rather than spend a whole lot of time, so I don't want us to sit here, debating this at great length. So what I'm going to do is ask for a minded to support for, the banning of disposable vapes. If you could just indicate, please, so that town clerk can have a clear idea.
Yes.
Right, that seems to be a strong majority, thank you. Those who want also to ban the purchase of, the date is 2009, is it?
First of January 2000.
January 2009. 90, yeah? 9?
It's 14.
2009, yes.
2009.
14-year-old.
Yes.
Current 14-year-old.
Yes, so I'm minded to on that initiative, please. That's a majority as well. Thank you very much, and we'll move on. And we'll leave that to the town clerk. Councillor Dickinson.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I was wondering if this town council could send a really well done to Way Valley School, who've just come out of a really good Ofsted. So I was wondering if we could send a letter of saying well done.
I have no objections to us doing that at all. I'm actually doing the press presentations at Way Valley in a couple of weeks' time, so I will be very happy to pass our good wishes and congratulations on to them at that point, if that's something that you're all happy with. Yeah, right, okay. We can do both if you would like us to.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, just to come back on the government's consultation on the sale of tobacco products and disposable vapes. Just to say that all councillors, members of the public, anyone can respond individually to the government's consultation. It is up online. I've responded myself. It's quite a thorough consultation with a lot of free text boxes where you can give your views. So if anyone does feel very strongly, individuals can respond as well. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Hope. Councillor Hope.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Can I just make a point of order here? That the items we've just discussed under councillor questions are actually motions. And we have a standing orders to have to deal with this. And I do feel a little bit miffed that some of us spend the time to follow the process and put a motion in place to council for an informative debate. And whilst other councillors seem to put on the hot spot ad hoc things forward as indicative votes, I don't think it's very fair. Hence, I didn't vote for any of those because the information isn't here to make an informed debate or vote.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hope. I am, and the town clerk and I are aware of that. Councillor Hamilton apologised that she was too late for the motion to go in. She had intended to do that, but because of the government timing, we couldn't leave it to the next meeting. So she has had her wrist slapped and she won't ever do it again, okay?
Cigarettes confiscated as well.
So we do note your comments, Councillor Hope, and we hope that people will be aware that this isn't the way to pass motions, but we've made an exception on this case. Okay, thank you. Right. Mayor's announcements. And I know that most of you switch off at this point, so I'll try to be as quick as possible. Most importantly, I attended a short service of remembrance at the cenotaph on the 11th day of the 11th month, 11 o'clock on the 11th day of the 11th month, to remember those who gave their lives for us in conflict across the world. I then went to the Knowes Fort, who arranged a remembrance event there. Later in the day, I attended the annual Royal British Legion service at Holy Trinity Church. It was sad to see how few elected members were at these events. It was a Saturday, but I know that you all are very busy and those of you who work value your weekends strongly, so I do understand. The following day, we held the annual remembrance service at the cenotaph. Our thanks as always to the Salvation Army band who played for us. and to the Nose Fort who attended and fired the cannon. Thank you to those who attended. I hope you agree that our new resorts events team did a terrific job with the arrangements, and my thanks and congratulations to them have already been sent. All these events were well attended by our residents. Again, with the theme of community, it was a pleasure to host a group of students from All Saints School and 2 brownie packs in the chamber during Parliament Week. They were wonderfully engaged with the concept of democracy and the role of Parliament and politicians. This is encouraging for the future of democracy in this country, and I hope that all future mayors will build on this with a community officer. And I will say that Isla led the activities for the brownies and was an absolute star. They loved every minute. They've got back to me since with thank you card, and thanks to you, Isla. They thought it was wonderful. So well done, you. Let's go back to Isla. I'll be making the decision on recipients for the Mayor's Christmas fund in the next few days. Actually, I think I've almost made it. And we'll be distributing cheques. Do contact me about this if you want to, and it's not too late to support the fund with a donation, and of course to attend Weymouth Town Council's Carols by the Coast this coming Saturday outside the Prom Cafe at 5 o'clock. The Salvation Army will be playing for us, and there's going to be lots and lots of seasonal fun. It will be cold, so I suggest you wrap up warm, but it will be fun.
Jolly.
It will be jolly, cold and jolly. Jolly cold, it will be jolly cold, but you will have fun. And you'll enjoy yourself. And thanks to Weymouth and Portland Lions, who always support the Mayor's Fund, and in particular Councillor Hope and Councillor Brooks, who've turned out on a few cold nights, actually, shaking buckets, collecting money, and continue to do so. My great thanks to them. Other events are chronicled in the Mayor's blog and on the Mayor's Facebook page if you are interested. And I must just mention very quickly before I move on, tomorrow evening I will be at the French Embassy at a cocktail party with the Ambassador, Madame Hélène Duchesne, meeting a delegation from Normandy. So when you're drinking your pints or whatever tomorrow evening, I will be sipping cocktails with sherry, probably sherry. I don't think the French drink sherry. I didn't think I would ask where the Ferrero Rocher was. I've been to a number of embassies. I've never been served Ferrero Rocher. Never. It's a poor show, isn't it? But so that's to meet them, and I believe to discuss next year's D-Day celebration. So that's it, and we'll move on. Thank you very much. Questions from the public? Obviously there are none. No. Budget monitoring, I'm going to hand you over to our Deputy Clerk, Ian Milne.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will keep this brief if I may. I'll just outline the position where we find ourselves at the end of Q2, and I'm pleased to report that we are actually in quite a strong financial position as a council at the end of Q2, and we are predicting come the end of the year underspend of around £193,000, which in the main is due to vacant posts which have been vacant in the first part of the year. They have been filled now, so that is a one-off underspend, and because of the interest rate, we have been able to have better than anticipated interest on the investments which we make.
However, there is always caveats with that overarching news, in that within the detail, there are areas where managers have had to undertake mitigation action for services that are dependent on the weather. For example, we did have a rather poor July, which did affect services such as the deck chairs, but managers are trying to mitigate and manage those loss in income with savings in expenditure to offset those. It's always good at the end of quarter two when we look at the budgets, because it coincides with the budget working group meeting. And although that's primarily there to look at setting the budgets for next year, they do have a look at areas around the current budget, because they then undertake some amendments to the budget which they feel necessary to mitigate any areas which are not in sync for the current financial year. So the overall picture is we're in a good, strong position, and that bodes well for the second half of the year.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Councillor Gray, did you want to add anything? No, any questions? No, well, we're asked to note that. Can I assume from the nodding heads that that is all duly noted? Thank you very much indeed. We move on to the next item, which is phone box asset transfer. I'm going to ask the assistant clerk to introduce this, and I know that she's then going to ask our youth council member to present. Thank you.
Thank you. So the purposes of this report is for members to agree to the adoption of the red penny phone box situated in St Thomas Street. However, I'm going to hand over to Isla, who's going to introduce the main part of the item.
Hi, I'm Isla from the Youth Council. At our last meeting, we came up with the idea to use a telephone box as a book swap. To do this, the Youth Council are asking full council to adopt the red telephone box in St Thomas Street for the cost of £1. Youth Council have agreed to spend up to £1,000 from their budget to refurbish it. Ongoing maintenance costs would need to be met from existing budgets. The phone box would be managed by a Youth Council working group with only a small amount of officer help. Any questions?
Councillor Berman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Fully support this. We have one in certain points which sort of act as a community hub as well. And certainly these days, there is a lack of community hubs around that we mentioned a few times, and it's very worthwhile. It's often frequented, and it's a really good thing to do.
Thank you. Any other questions?
It's not a question, Madam Mayor. We're in a sort of a debate, aren't we? Do we want that? I just wanted to say it's a grand idea. I love it. I love the fact that booth there is going to be used, not taken away. I expect BT are happy with it not being taken away, because it costs them quite a bit to remove these things. Although they can sell them for quite a bit as well afterwards. And I'm also happy that the Youth Council is taking on this responsibility. I think there's a dual purpose here, and both of them are fantastic. Thank you very much.
Councillor Norman.
Thank you very much. I note that some of the cruise visitors like to have their pictures taken by the red telephone boxes. I'm hoping a nice red colour will still make that an attractive proposition. They've actually installed one on the quay side at Portland Port, but it looks out of place there, so I really welcome this. Thank you.
Councillor Orr and then Councillor James.
I'm very supportive of this. It's in my ward, and I've seen it used in other areas very effectively, so totally supportive. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor James.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I do support this. I just wanted to ask a question where it says coming out of existing maintenance budget. Is that the council's maintenance budget, or will that be coming out of the money the Youth Council has been awarded? And the other question I was going to ask, How will people approach you with any donations of books? Because what I don't want to happen is you end up with books being dumped out like a phone box and making them littering. So I don't know how you're going to manage that. Thank you.
Are you happy to answer that, or would you like Charmaine to?
I can answer the second one. So we have our youth council social media and we've got our email address. So if people wanted to donate books, all they would have to do would be contact us and we can give them a place to send the book to.
Okay, and you're going to be able to manage if people start dumping them outside and leaving them?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Isla. Charmaine?
You
I've spoken to the property manager Shane, and he's happy for it to be met from existing budgets for maintenance. He doesn't see it to be much of an ongoing liability.
Thank you very much. Councillor Ryan?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I've got to say, sitting in the youth council meetings, it's been an absolute delight to see the youth council engage in this project and the ideas they've had. And to that, I fully support their requests coming today to full council. I think they're aware that, you know, this project may not go without hiccups. Hence, they've set themselves a very generous budget of £1,000 for not just the initial installation, but to repair any costs associated with potential vandalism. They try to be inclusive with this project, hence they don't want to lock the box. But if vandalism does occur, there's money within that existing £1,000 to later install a lock and reduce the time that the project's offering. I'm very, very pleased to support this and would be happy to propose that we take the lease of the phone box as recommended in the paper.
Thank you very much. We have a proposal. Can I have a second there? Are you just seconding, seconded councillor Le Quicklin? Could I have a show of hands, please?
That is unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Well done, Isla. So you have a telephone box. That's what you had on your wish list at the beginning of the year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Good. Well done. Thank you. And thank you very much for attending. Item 10 is the notice of motion. I'm going to hand this over to the town clerk in the first instance and then follow through.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before you, councillors, is a notice of motion from Councillor Ryan Hope, seconded by Councillor David Harris regarding inclusive playgrounds. You have the full detail as part of your agenda pack, and the detail of the 5 points of the motion are listed on the agenda. Just wanted to open the debate by saying that the council does recognise the importance of inclusive and accessible services. This includes play areas, and the council does strive to create spaces which welcome children with differing needs as far as possible. It's important to consider that this does include a range of disabilities, including neurodiverse children, as well as those with mobility, visual and audio impairments. I spoke to Emily Brown, our Green Spaces manager, and just to ask what recent work had been carried out. In Melcombe Play area, this now includes a wheelchair accessible trampoline, DDA compliant swings and chimes, which are inclusive for all children. This follows the aspiration in a previous service plan to create a fully accessible playground. Melcombe Regis Play area, with its easy car and pedestrian access, central location and flat hard service, was the ideal place to look to develop this. It's worth noting that a range of equipment was investigated for further possible improvements. However, with regard to mobility, there are limited options that provide good playability for all with a reasonable price tag. So whilst accessible swings, roundabouts and trampolines work well for all, the climbing equipment and wheelchair-specific seesaws, for example, can be extremely expensive with limited value for those who are not in wheelchairs. Outdoor instruments, sensory equipment and play panels are relatively cost-effective ways to add value for all to our parks. Some council playgrounds, i.e. those with hard surfaces, do lend themselves more easily to wheelchair use than others, and this will need to be considered in the installation of equipment by officers. Following requests from the public and consultation with Wyvern School, communication boards were installed in a number of playgrounds to support families with non-verbal children. These have been well received and could be rolled out to all sites. In addition, sign language panels have been placed in a number of playgrounds, increasing inclusivity and also raising awareness. The informal feedbacks on these have been incredibly positive. There was an installation of outdoor music instruments at Links Road following consultation with the Ridgeway Daycare Centre. And the instruments, along with a low bench with arms and an accessible path, have made this space much more usable by both special needs users of the day centre, and it's also appreciated by local families. The council will continue to strive to be inclusive for all, considering needs such as quiet areas, audio, visual stimulation, interpretation, and where possible, equipment that meets the needs of all. Officers welcome this motion to formalise the work being undertaken and strengthen the council's commitment to inclusivity, both in terms of focus, budget, and timescales. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillor Hope, did you want to present the motion?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I think the town clerk has done a wonderful job of introducing the motion, so I don't have too much more to add at this point. The motion is there before members and does exactly what the town clerk covered in the introduction. And it's to recognise the success that already this town council is doing to ensure that every child in our community has the right to play, but has a further aspiration to extend this further. So members, I would really like to have the opportunity to present this motion to you this evening and reserve the right to come back at the end of the debate should I feel necessary.
Thank you very much. Councillor Harris, you,
Serving
thank you. I've got Councillor James wishing to speak. I'd just like to say that I think that this council has always been really very good, as the town clerk mentioned, in providing for those less able and with the various disabilities that there are, a huge range. To formalise that and to make sure that we look at every opportunity to make our playgrounds more inclusive, to my mind, is no bad thing. We've got Councillor James wishing to speak first, and then Councillor Gray.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, I agree that our town clerk has succinctly said everything about how well our parks do. And I do recall many years ago when I had the brief for social inclusion, I did make sure that Southfield Park at the time that was going to be refurbished had some play equipment for people with disabilities. And the signboards that were mentioned, that was something that came from me because I saw it happen somewhere else, and I went to Emily and said, could we have these signboards put up, please? And she had already got on to looking at having braille signboards put up. So the ones in Melcombe Regis Play area, and I think there was some up at the Marsh for people that are children and non-verbal, and having 3 grandchildren that are special educational needs. They are verbal, they're not non-verbal, but I know that these were a big help. A lot of people have commented on them. And like you said, Madam Mayor, we do strive to make sure that all children are included, and that we make sure that every sort of disability or issue can be dealt with. So although I support this, I'm just wondering if this is something we note or is it something we're voting on, because it doesn't actually have a recommendation or a note. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor James. Councillor Gray?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My question is about the impact assessment. I fully support the motion. There's a bit of a plea really under finances and resources on the screen there. Can we, whilst we can't prepare the costs at a moment's notice when a motion is presented, I'd like it noted in the impact assessment that we'll come back with there may be additional budget requirements to install more diverse players. That will come with the reports that we back to council. So can we just have further financial details to follow? And then under resources, can we have a go at understanding how much additional officer time it's going to take? Because from a finance point of view, we need to understand what the hours that we're putting into these motions. Thank you.
Councillor Hamilton?
Thank you. Thank you for the motion. I do fully support it. having listened to the town clerk's introduction, I want to understand what the concrete changes are. Perhaps concrete's not the right material. What are the changes that you envisage? Because, as noted, the council has a duty to consider access and equalities provision under the Equalities Act 2010. As I understand from what town clerk has said, we'll already take every opportunity to put those responsibilities into action. So what are we being asked to agree to here?
Thank you. I don't have any other hands up for questions, so this might be the opportunity for Councillor Harris and Councillor Hope to come back.
Shall I come back? Yeah. I'd just like to share with the group one other aspect of all of this. We've also got an access group, or we've had an access group for Weymouth, Portland and Chickwell that has been in existence for over 40 years now. It mainly focused on access for people with a physical disability, but through COVID, it generally disappeared a little bit. But there is now being set up a forum representing groups with a range of visible and invisible disabilities. And recently we asked that group to get anybody who was interested to come and be consulted on some changes to the toilets in Cove Square, which have a disability unit where people can't actually get into it in wheelchairs, and they can't turn around when they are in it, and it would be very difficult for carers. And so Shane was able to get a lot of useful information before he went ahead with the proper design to consultants to draw up things for him. So we've got this group in existence. Councillor James mentioned the play area at South Hill, which does have a piece of equipment that can be used by people with a disability, but they can't get to it because the grass is so wet and the hill is so steep that they can't actually easily get to that piece of equipment. And so if you'd actually had a consultation with a group of people who've got a specific interest in the aspect of development that we're interested in doing, then it can be that we can get it right, rather than just say we've had a go at doing something, but unfortunately it didn't really work. So we've got to make sure that the system we use for achieving the results of this motion actually are able to happen by using the public, the people who are interested, the people who have an understanding of what somebody with dementia might actually want in a facility, or a child with a particular hearing difficulty might benefit from in a particular play area. So it does require a little bit of work, a little bit of consultation, but it's a fantastic way forward. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hope.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, and thank you members for all the questions on the motion. I think it's important to recognise, and as Councillor James alluded to, and Councillor Hamilton, that we are already doing this, so we believe. But within the motion, for those that have taken the time to read it, it does say there's an independent charity called Scope, who've done consultation with local people all over the country who have got disabled children. 96% of parents who responded to this consultation with disabled children said they'd used a public playground in the past year, but 49% said they had access to deep problems getting to that playground. So we may already be putting some of the equipment in. And Malcolm Regis play area is a prime example of that. It's easy to get to, it's on hard standing. But are all of our play areas where we're putting this equipment in accessible? So part of the motion here this evening, members, asks for us to consult with local organisations and local disabled people to actually make sure that our play areas are accessible. We may think we're doing everything right. We may think we're in the right direction, but until you're in a position that you're in as a carer or a disabled member of our community trying to use this equipment, are we doing it right? And that's exactly what Councillor Harris alluded to. So I would like to think that our community development worker and our parks team could get a group of disabled users together and go around to our play equipments to make sure that they are accessible. That we work with the access group to make sure that everything is accessible, and that we continue to make sure that every child in our community has the opportunity to play with their friends and not be excluded. So I do hope that you can support this motion to make sure that we can move forward in making sure that Weymouth is fully inclusive.
Thank you, councillor Hope. Councillor James, I was going to, councillor Ryan Hope has the opportunity to speak last, as is his notice of motion, but if you've got a question for clarity, very quickly.
It was just, I meant to say that with the Ridgeway Centre, I did actually go and speak to them because I asked for that cinder path to be put in, and I actually spoke to the Ridgeway Centre and they spoke to Emily about what they required and what they needed. So I think we were speaking to the relevant people at the time. And having spoke to, and it was actually a parent of a child that asked for that cinder path because they needed it for his wheelchair access. So I think we are doing that.
Thank you. So I think the what's coming out very clearly is that we need to talk more to those people who actually are in the situation of having access difficulties and so on. And I think that that's probably the crux of your motion, isn't it? That you want a deeper consultation before we simply put in a piece of equipment. Is it the right piece of equipment, and is it accessible when it is there? Because it may be a wonderful piece of equipment, but if you can't get to it, it's of no use whatsoever. Councillor Hope, if you could tell us, when you finish whatever it is we wanted to say, if you could tell us exactly what it is you want us to support in terms of a vote, and we can then go to a vote, okay?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Just to come back on the Links estate, which is very good, Hatfield. The cinder path goes round the external perimeter of the field. It hasn't got the path that goes to the sensory instruments and play equipment that was put there. So those that have got mobility issues can, yes, go in the field, but they can't get to that equipment. So again, it's a missing link. The recommendations are very clearly listed within the motion, Madam Mayor, within the appendix form, appendix motion D, 1 to 5, and I'm still happy to propose all of those items. I believe Councillor Harris is still happy to second those as written.
I'm seconding them.
Right, thank you very much. We've got a vote, a proposer and a seconder. Could we have a show of hands, please?
Or against?
That is unanimous.
Thank you very much. And welcome to Councillor Furman. We'll move on to item 11. Sorry. Councillor nomination for an outside body. This is the Western Support Fund, who have requested that the council formally nominate Councillor James as the representative to the charity. Councillor James has been fulfilling this role for some time. Clearly, the Western Support Fund are very happy with her, with work that she's done for them, and would like her to continue. I'm happy to propose Councillor James to continue in this role. I'm looking for someone to second, please. Councillor Frost.
Madam Mayor, I would like to make just a slight amendment, just for clarity to council and obviously to the charity, to the recommendation as written. And that is that the appointment is until the annual meeting of the council in May.
I think that's clear in the paper there. In May, when you have a new council, all of these bodies will come up for discussion again and will be nominated and redone at that point. But thank you.
I appreciate that it says that within the body of the text. However, it's the recommendation that is carried and moved forward. So I would like to propose an amendment to the recommendation that does say until the annual group meeting.
Do you have a seconder for that amendment, Councillor Harris? Could I have a show of hands for the amendment, please?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
Those against?
The amendments.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Any abstentions?
1.
Thank you very much. Could we now go to the substantive with that amendment, please? I've proposed, councillor Frost has seconded. Could I have a show of hands?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Can I just ask for clarity for the minutes? The amendment was proposed by councillor Hope and seconded by councillor Harris.
Item 12 are information items. Town clerk, would you like to run through those?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Happy to run through these. I won't do so in great detail. I know members will have fully read the items themselves as well as the appendices that came with them. So the first item on information is the updates from working group. You'll find the Climate and Ecological Emergency Working Group, CEE, attached to Appendix E. With a short update from the Budget Working Group. The Governance Working Group has not held any meetings since the last report, and neither have the Income Generation Group. The Toilet Working Group information has gone to Environment and Services on the 1st of. Will be going, that should say, I think, no? Or have you already, has one gone to ENS? And another one is planned? Yeah, so another report will be going to ENS in December, and there will also be a report from the Seafront Lighting Working Group going in December as well. Happy to pause for questions, Madam Mayor. Councillor Hope.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. My point is just at the end of the information items where it says about the tree planting day on Saturday, the 2nd of December at Redpole Gardens. 2 points, just to clarify that that's Weymouth and Portland Lions Club that made that donation, not just Weymouth Lions. I have to say that for the Portland members of the organisation. But second of all, that date has been cancelled due to ground conditions. So that tree planting will be postponed until January, end of January, early February.
Thank you very much for that information, and yes, we will add to that. We've got councillor Wakeling.
Thank you. Just on the governance working group, I've been asked to pull a meeting together to discuss the grants policy, which will be at some stage next month. If there are any other items any members would like to go into that group, which feeds into F and G, please let me know and I can put them on the group's agenda, and the invite will come around to due course. But the grants policy is definitely on the agenda.
I think if I may, Madam Mayor, there is also a set of updates to standing orders with the governance working group.
There are 2 items on the agenda, but I'm open to anything else people would like to add.
And I'd be happy to attend if the group wishes me to speak on standing orders or grants or anything else.
Councillor North.
Thank you. So there is a report on the neighbourhood plan in the update there. Things move rapidly in the neighbourhood plan, and the leaflet that's being delivered by the Royal Mail. Some of you will have received it, and I know that some residents have received it. Also know that I haven't received it, and many others haven't. So this is the week in which the Royal Mail are delivering. They don't deliver it all on the same day, and they don't guarantee 100% delivery, which I find very odd. But nevertheless, this is coming around to all households, and it prompts people to respond. What's important is that this leaflet still says the 8th of December as the final response date. However, that's a problem, because this is happening later than we intended because of difficulties in getting it sorted with Royal Mail. It's quite a tedious process. So we've extended the response date to the 15th of December. So that's the important bit for everyone to note. and to let people know. We also responded to the last council meeting where people asked for a précis. There you go, 4-page précis, which really acts as a pointer to the document as a whole. And you can highlight what you're interested in. You can get hold of this from online, you can see it online. We've also been handing these out at the drop-in events that have been taking place. So we're adding another drop-in event to the calendar. So the next drop-in, there was one tonight. There's one which took place before this meeting, and there's one on the 4th of December here in the council chamber from 6 till 8, and there's another being added on the 13th of December, which will take place 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., which is before, I can't remember what meeting later on in the day. And then the actual plan response time finishes on the 15th of December. So we ask people to continue to respond, and the numbers are ratcheting up, albeit a little slowly, but we haven't reached the deadline and we haven't reached the extended deadline yet. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Northern. Councillor Northern, I've had a number of requests.
Sorry, there's one amendment to the minutes, to the agenda, just been pointed out to me that it says Monday, 4th of December, Old Town Hall, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. This is the new Town Hall. Shock, horror. Okay, thank you. I think everybody would take it to be in the new Town Hall, but it does say it wrongly there. Thank you.
I hope everyone will take it to mean the new Town Hall, because they are quite distinct, aren't they?
I'd be very disappointed if.
And for those pedants among us, not looking at myself, this is in Melcombe Regis and the old Town Hall is in Weymouth, and this is Weymouth's neighbourhood plan. I'm just saying. But what I was going to say, I don't want to take my pedantry any further, President. I've had a number of people who have thanked you for the précis because they found the full plan altogether too daunting. Are we making arrangements for those to be available to pick up from the library or, our regional libraries as well? Because
if we haven't, we shall.
they're keen that that's available, and can we make sure that comms know about that change in the deadline and the dates of the other drop-in centres so that we get as many people?
It's already come out on social media. We're continuing to push just to
keep pushing.
We had Laura Wood had who's in the steering group, had an interview with Greatest Hits today. She was particularly talking about young people's involvement in the neighbourhood plan and all the work she did on that. And that should be appearing as an item tomorrow. It wasn't a live recording. And in that, we also mentioned the revised date. So we're pushing it out on both Greatest Hits and other channels. So it's continuing to go forward. I must just point out for people's clarity, this is a whole of Weymouth neighbourhood plan and not just the old Weymouth.
Yeah, I do understand that. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I won't take that any further. You know I could. Any other points on any other of our information items that anybody wanted to bring up? No, you're all happy? Wonderful. We'll move on in that case. Actions from last meeting, Town Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm happy to respond to any questions regarding the actions from previous meetings or the forward plan if members have any.
Silence. That's terrific. It looks as though, I'm sorry, sorry, Councillor Gray, you couldn't resist, could you?
Well, it's my own stupidity really. So if there's a by-election or just a clarity, there are no meetings cancelled because of the period. I just want to be clear because I've got a finance meeting in December and I'd really like that to go ahead. Thank you.
I'm happy to confirm, Madam Mayor, that due to the by-election, there will be no cancellations of scheduled meetings. We have some significant items that require approval within designated timescales, one of which is the budget going to Finance and Governance prior to progressing to full council in January to meet the legal timeframes required by Dorset Council. We will be taking a view on some of the items that we have a little flexibility on, just to ensure that no councillors or members of public are put in any difficult positions by way of there being a by-election, but there are no plans to cancel any meetings.
Thank you very much, Town Clerk, and I assume that councillors will be very, very careful about observing those PERDA rules during those meetings in any event. Thank you for bringing that up. That would appear to be the meeting complete. It's 8 o'clock. Can I just remind you all, Saturday evening, Winter Woolies, 5 o'clock on the prom. You'll be really sorry if you miss it, because it's going to be lots and lots of fun, and it's an opportunity for you to contribute. If you can't get there, you can still contribute to the Mayor's Charity Fund. So please do so, but please come and sing and enjoy yourselves.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to take this opportunity to remind all councillors that the book of condolence for Councillor Tony Ferrari is available at the back of the room. It will be going back to Weymouth Library first thing tomorrow morning, if you are unable to sign today but still want to. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. That's the meeting.